can begin the meeting now. So we'll start with the call to order.
At 7:23 this evening.
7:23. Okay, that this Committee of Adjustment meeting held on May 26, 2021 come to order at 7:23 p.m. And then can you ask for a mover and seconder, please?
Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Kennedy and Member Vanderwielen? And can we have a motion for this time and the beginning of the meeting? All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, I'll try. You'll have to guide me here, okay, Sophie?
Yeah.
Is there any disclosures of pecuniary interest from any of the members? That's a no from all.
No, perfect.
Moving on to item 3 of the agenda, the previous minutes. 3.1 minutes of the closed session Committee of Adjustment meeting held on April 28, 2021. Do we have any concerns with those minutes? No concerns, including myself. Do we have a mover for accepting these minutes? Member Webster, Member Vanderwielen? All in favor? Pass. So far, so good, Sophie?
Yeah.
Okay. Item 3.2, minutes of Committee of Adjustment meeting held on April 28, 2021. Do we have any concerns from the members? No concerns. We have a mover for accepting this. Member Webster. Member Vanderwielen. Passed. Moving on to item 4 of the application,
Oh,
Sophie.
Sorry, Member Cooney.
Did I miss one?
Yeah, there was 3. So there was the special Committee of Adjustment, the closed session minutes. There was the special Committee of Adjustment minutes that were the open, not the closed ones, and then the Committee of Adjustment regular minutes.
Okay, so we've done, is that item 3.3 then?
Yeah, 3.
You'll have to forgive me.
No,
Okay.
that's okay.
Thank you. Do we have any concerns with item 3.3 on the agenda, the special closed session meeting minutes?
Oh, sorry, these would be just the regular.
Sorry, the regular minute. Okay. No, I have 1 no so far. No, 3 no's. Okay, 3 no's. A motion to move forward with them. That's a pass for all 3. Thank you.
And can I get a mover and a seconder, please?
Sorry, mover, sorry, was Member Webster, and the seconder was Member Kennedy. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, can we move on to the applications now, Sophie?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the old agenda, so I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Generally, Chair Gannon would say a little introduction to the applications. Did you want me to read that for you?
Please, because I don't have it.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to this Committee of Adjustment meeting to allow the public an opportunity to express their views regarding the proposed minor variances and consents within the Township of Springwater. Each applicant and their agent, if applicable, will be given the opportunity to present the applications to the committee in public. Additional information on each of the applications, including any presentation materials, is available in the committee agenda on the Township's website. Following those members of the public whom registered to make oral submission prior to 4:30 p.m. yesterday, May 25th, 2021, will be given the opportunity to do so. All oral submissions will be included in this meeting's minutes and form part of the public record, including the name and address of the speaker as information collected under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. The minutes of the meeting will be posted on the township's website. All comments or questions should be addressed through the chair.
Thank you, Sophie. If we can move forward then with application 4.1.
Yes, item number 4.1 of the agenda is the validation of title application VT 2021-001 by T. Howard on behalf of the owner of lands known municipally as 54 Stone Street. The purpose and effect of the application is to correct the prior registered document that breached the Planning Act. In 2017, only one of 6 pins that make up 54 Stone Street was conveyed to the current property owner, with the remaining conveyed at a later date, which contravened the act. The effect of the validation certificate will correct the error and title to include all 6 pins that form the property in the proper manner.
Thank you. Did we have any comments come forward with regards to this application?
Yes, comments were received from the Township Public Works Department and Building Department stating no concerns.
Thank you. Are there any outside applicants or residents that would like to speak at all with regards to the application?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission at this time.
Thank you very much, moderator. Can we have the applicant please speak forward with regards to the application and just give us a bit of information regarding the application?
Yes, can everybody hear me? Good evening, everyone. Thank you for hearing our submissions this evening. My name is Trent Howard. I'm the agent representing Miss Linda Argue in this application for a certificate of validation of title. As Sophie so eloquently summarized at the outset, Miss Argue is the owner of the property located at 54 Stone Street. This property is comprised of 6 different pins. So at the time Miss Argue purchased the property in 2017, only one of the 6 pins that make up the entirety of the property was actually conveyed to Miss Argue. The previous owners of the property remained the quote unquote paper title holders of the property until sometime in early 2021, when the remaining 5 pins were unilaterally conveyed to Miss Argue in contravention of the Planning Act. So we make this application to the committee for a validation certificate to ensure that Miss Argue holds proper legal title to the entirety of her property, notwithstanding the prior conventions of the Planning Act. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the committee may have at this point, but thank you all for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Any comments or concerns from any of the members of the committee? I have 3 no's. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the motion? Member Kennedy, Member Webster. It's passed by both those, we have 2 movers. All in favor? It's unanimous. If you could please read the recommendation, please, Sophie.
Sorry, Sophie, I think you're muted. Thank you. I have a motion for VT 2021-001 that the Committee of Adjustment, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 57 of the Planning Act, as addressed in the planning report on the subject application dated May 26, 2021, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearing held on May 26, 2021, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve of the application as applied for as it conforms to the criteria set forth under the Planning Act and Ontario Regulation 144 at 95.
Thank you, Sophie. I kind of went a little ahead of you, but I had members Kennedy and members Webster as mover and seconder, and all agreed to it. So thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to application 4.2, Sophie.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I believe Chair Gannon has attempted to join us via the phone. Mr. Gannon, as you've called in, could you please hit *9 to use the raise hand feature over the phone so I can identify you? I'm afraid that that doesn't seem to have worked. If I may test a few microphones, I apologize. There are a few numbers who have joined us, but not many. And I would like to identify Chairmember Gannon, if I may. You'll hear a prompt. Just if you might, please simply introduce yourself. We'll be able to identify you that way. Hello, can you hear me all right?
It looks like he's muted.
In this case, the caller will have to hit *6 to unmute themselves. I have allowed you to speak. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for that interlude.
5 was Chair Gannon, but he was muted. He was showing as muted.
So Chairmember Gannon, I've found that number and I've allowed you to speak. You will have to hit *6 on your end, however, to speak.
If I can just interject, so whoever's moderating this meeting, who started it, they're the ones who has to unmute him, I believe, so that you can hear him through this. So he's still showing as muted on my screen.
He is, because he is called in with a phone number, it's a two-step. As I understand it, it's 2 steps. I have asked him to speak. And I've asked him to unmute. He will receive a prompt and then he'll have to hit *6 on his phone to speak.
Do you have him on the line so that he can hear your instructions?
I believe everyone is able to hear us as we speak in this meeting, yes.
Okay.
Okay, we can proceed with application 4.2 and then we can always try again after.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, then Sophie, please move forward with application 4.2.
Item 4.2 on the agenda is a minor variance application, A1421. submitted by Jay McCaig, owner of lands known municipally as 17 Noraline Avenue. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of an addition, a sunroom, measuring approximately 15.62 square meters, which is 168 square feet, to the rear of the existing dwelling with a reduced rear yard setback. They're requesting a rear yard setback of 5.49 meters, whereas section 4.3.5 of the bylaw requires a minimum rear yard setback of 7.5 meters.
Thank you, Sophie. Do we have any comments or concerns from any agencies or staff?
Yeah, comments were received from the Township Public Works Department stating no concerns. And comments were also received from the Township Building Department stating no objection to the proposal. The existing sewage system appears to be located in the front yard based on SMDHU records. And as such, the proposed sunroom location will not encroach on the sewage works components. A building permit will be required for the proposed work.
Thank you, Sophie. To the moderator, do we have any interested residents or other comments, neighbors that would like to speak on behalf of this application?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Could we please have the applicant come online and give us a bit more information on this specific application and what your intentions are?
Thank you so much. The purpose of the addition is simply to give us a little bit more space. Over the years, we have taken management of our granddaughter, and we have a new addition to our home. So it's just giving us a little bit of extra space. Nothing is changing in terms of the closeness to neighbors. There's an old deck there that is just going to be replaced.
Thank you, Mr. McKay. Are there any members, committee members that have any concerns or comments that wish to say anything? I have 3 no's. Thank you. Sophie, if you could please read the proposed motion.
So I have a motion for A1421 that the Committee of Adjustment, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surroundings as addressed in the planning report on the application dated May 26, 2021, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearing held on May 26, 2021, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve application A1421 as applied for.
Thank you, Sophie. Do I have a mover and a seconder for this application from the committee members? Mover Vanderwielen and seconder Kennedy. I have moved forward with a motion, all in approval. Unanimous. Thank you, members.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, Sophie, if we can move on to item 4.3 on the agenda.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-mm.
Item 4.3 of the agenda is a minor variance application A1521 by C&K Osborne, owner of lands known municipally as 20 Parr Boulevard. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a 48 square meter detached accessory building in the rear yard. The proposed garage will exceed the maximum permitted floor area when combined with the existing pool shed. They're requesting a maximum total area of accessory buildings and structures of 77.7 square meters, which is 836.34 square feet, whereas the zoning bylaw permits a maximum of 65 square meters, which is 699.68 square feet.
Thank you. Do we have any comments or concerns from staff or agencies with regard to this application?
Comments were received from the Township Public Works Department stating no concerns, and comments were also received from the Township Building Department stating no objections. The existing sewage system will not be impacted by the proposed location. The detached garage would require a building permit, and the applicant will have to be responsible to ensure that drainage will not adversely affect neighboring properties.
Thank you. To the moderator, do we have any interested residents or other neighbors in the area that have any comments or concerns?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Members of the committee, do we have any comments or concerns with this application? Member Webster, you can go first, please.
Can't hear you.
Rick, you're muted. Still muted.
Oh, sorry, Member Cooney, can we have the applicant introduce themselves?
Very well. Sorry about that. Could we please have the applicant give us a bit of information on this application, what your intentions are with regards to it?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
My name is Chris Osborne. I'm the owner of the property. We are repurposing this garage from a 23 Park Boulevard. The intent is to store our summer car and air lawn equipment from recreational vehicles inside where they're out of sight. Keep things neat and tidy on our lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Webster, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, thank you.
Okay, Member Webster, hopefully we can hear you now. Still can't hear you, Rick.
Member Webster, can you try pressing *6 if you're dialing in from a phone?
How's that? Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm curious about the building permit with a repurposed garage. How is that going to work?
I'm going to redirect that back to the staff member, Deborah. This.
Thank you, Chair Cooney. It's my understanding a building permit will be required to move and relocate the garage. The details of that permit, I do not know, but you know the garage is going to need to meet all building code requirements. The building department did provide comments. They didn't go into details about the actual requirement or the what would be required as part of the permit, just that a permit is required.
Member Webster.
I just don't want to see the applicant get caught here somehow. I don't know how that would work. I just don't know. I think the systems, you repurpose a garage, but you need a building permit. So the building department must have known. I don't understand the comment. Maybe we should defer. Or maybe the applicant should defer.
So it's my understanding, yes, a building permit will be required to relocate the garage. I think what I would recommend for the details of that building permit, the applicant should contact the building department to get the specifics about what would be required in terms of drawings or any floor plans or any engineering details for that relocation. It would be up to the applicant to be able to satisfy the building department. So if they have any further questions, they will need to reach out to the building department. I don't think the variance in front of you tonight is specifically to do with the size of the structures. If there's any issues with the building permit and the applicant does not move forward with relocating the garage, the variance isn't, it's not about the details of that building permit. I think it's a good thing to give them a heads up that, they should discuss this to see what the details would be for that permit. But the variance right now is just that increase in size, and I'd like to try to stick to that tonight.
Okay.
I concur that the application in front of us is based on the planning issues associated with the size of the buildings and then on the property. Member Vanderwielen, you requested to speak as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that the garage that was sitting on the blocks there that obviously got moved there is the building that we're talking about, and that's been answered. So. And I agree. I mean, it's up to the building department to determine what the footing has to be for the building and anything to do with the building code. So, so I have no issue with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Van. Oh, Member Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question to the applicant. I'm wondering if you are looking to put in a second driveway to access this repurposed garage, and if so, have any conversations with Public Works with regards to an entrance permit been discussed?
You may have to get them to use *6.
Hello?
Yep.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yes.
Osborne.
I have no intention of putting a secondary driveway in to access the garage.
Thank you. I have no concerns with this application.
If there's no further questions, can I have the Secretary Treasurer move forward with the motion?
Yes.
No further questions? Sophie, if you could please read the motion.
Yes. I have a motion for A1521 that the Committee of Adjustment, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surroundings as addressed in the planning report on the application dated May 26, 2021, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearing held on May 26, 2021, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve application A1521 as applied for.
Thank you, Sophie. Can I have a mover and a seconder for this motion from the committee members? Member Kennedy and Member Vanderwielen. Can I have now a vote on whether we accept or approve this? I have a unanimous decision for approval. Thank you, members. Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Okay, Sophie, if we can move on with the next application.
Yeah.
4.4.
Yes, thank you. Item 4.4 on the agenda is a minor variance application A1721 as submitted by A. Miller and A. Bond, owner of lands known municipally as 32 Marnie Lane. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a 41.62 square meter, 448 square foot detached accessory structure in the rear yard, which in combination with the existing detached garage will exceed the maximum total size of accessory buildings permitted on the subject property. They're requesting a maximum total of accessory buildings and structures of 104.02 square meters, which is 1,119.66 square feet, whereas the zoning bylaw permits a maximum of 65 square meters, which is 699.68 square feet.
Thank you, Sophie. Do we have any comments from staff or agencies with regards to the application?
Yes, comments were received from the Township Public Works Department stating no concerns, and comments were also received from the Township Building Department stating no objections. The existing sewage system and well will not be impacted by the proposed location of the pool cabana, and the applicant is to ensure that no adverse drainage affects the neighboring property due to construction.
Thank you. Moderator, do we have any adjacent property owners or interests in it from neighbors, etc., that would like to comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, there are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Okay, thank you. Can I have the applicant speak forward now with regards to your application and provide additional information on what your intentions are?
Good evening, everyone. It's David Bond. I'm the homeowner, and our intentions are we have a current pool permit with the township, and we just want to build a kind of a cabana and a covered area to stay out of the sun in our backyard. And the reason, obviously, for the variance is the garage that's detached is already using up part of the allowance for outbuildings.
Thank you very much. Any members of the committee that would have any comments or concerns with regards to the application? That's a no from all members in that regard. I do have a question for Planner List from myself. This plan of subdivision, has it been assumed into the township inventory? I know we've had previous applications where it was identified that there was this subdivision has not been assumed. I just want to confirm. And if any of this work will have any issues with regards to the subdividers agreement with regards to grading or any other responsibilities that the developer would be held accountable for.
Thank you, Member Cooney. Just based on an application that was just around the corner from this one, I forget what that court was called, but that section was not assumed. I'm not too sure about Marnie Lane in this section. We did not receive any comments from the Public Works Department stating that. Any drainage concerns obviously would need to be addressed through their building permit. And they'd be looking at, the lot grading plan that was done for this initial build and any other engineer drawings that were done through the subdivision. So any work on this property would need to comply and need to meet and not to adversely affect any of those drainage, and the building department would be looking at that through the permit review.
So thank you, Planner List. So there would be no implications upon the developer at this time that would delay any assumption process for his plan of subdivision in that regard?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, thank you, Planner List. Sophie, if you could please read the proposed motion for members to consider.
Yes, so I have a motion for A1721 that the Committee of Adjustment, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of the land in question and its surroundings as addressed in the planning report on the application dated May 26, 2021, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearing held on May 26, 2021, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve application A1721 as applied for.
Thank you, Sophie. Do I have a mover and a seconder from the committee members with regards to the motion? There's Member Webster, and Member Kennedy. Do I have a motion on this motion for approval? It's unanimous, 3 yeses. Thank you, members. Thank you, Mr. Bond. You have approval for this application.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey, Sophie, if we can move on to the next item on the agenda, item 4.5.
Thank you. Item 4.5 on the agenda is a consent application, B0821, and a minor variance application, A1621, which was submitted by M. Corey of Malone Given Parsons and C. Sindruk on behalf of the owners of lands known municipally as 2823 Wilson Drive. The purpose of the application is to obtain approval to sever the northeast portion of the subject lands, consisting of approximately 30.46 acres of lot area for future subdivision purposes in line with the applicable designations of the Midhurst Secondary Plan. The applicant proposes to retain approximately 72.37 acres of lot area with approximately 624.9 meters of lot frontage on Wilson Drive for continued agricultural uses. And to recognize a deficient retained lot area for agricultural uses, the applicant has submitted a minor variance application at A1621 and is seeking relief from a provision of the zoning bylaw, which is the minimum lot area of 29.29 hectares, whereas the zoning bylaw would require a minimum lot area of 35 hectares.
Thank you, Sophie. Do we have any comments or concerns from staff or agencies with regards to this application?
Yes, comments were received from the Township Drainage Superintendent stating that the property is not assessed into any municipal drain. Therefore, no condition to satisfy the Drainage Act would be required. And further, the Township Public Works Department and Building Department stated no concerns.
Thank you. To the moderator, do we have any adjacent neighbors or other representatives that would like to speak on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. We have the applicant, please come on and give us some further information about the application, your intentions with regards to the application.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
So good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the committee and staff. My name is Cheryl Shindrick, and I represent the applicant Geranium on this on the applications before you this evening. And I am joined by Matt Corey of Mullen Parsons, who is the planner who's been assisting on this application and indeed the planner on all of our development applications in Midhurst. The sketch before you in your package shows that we are seeking a severance of this property located on Wilson Drive. We are seeking this severance in order to facilitate a real estate transaction for the portion of this property that is designated for development in the Midhurst Secondary Plan, and to enable the Thompson family, the owners of the property, to settle this estate planning matter. The variance application is to allow the continued farming activities on the retained parcel, as it will have a slight area deficiency upon the severance. The frontage, as you can see in your package, will be retained along Wilson Drive for the retained parcel, and with respect to the severed parcel, frontage will be taken on Calypso Avenue, which is a street that is presently being constructed on the adjacent subdivision immediately to the north of the subject property.
Thank you,
I would just add as well, Mr. Chairman, that we support the conditions set out in the staff report, and hope to have the committee's support this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Shindra. Members of the committee, do we have any comments or concerns with regards to this application? Member Webster, please go ahead.
Thank you. Assuming I'm not muted.
No, you're good.
Thank you. I heard Shindrick mention an estate planning matter. Typically, these things have a sensitive to it. Is that the case in this? Are we able to move this along so that estate planning can be completed, or perhaps you can shed some light on that, Ms. Shindrick?
Thank you, Member Webster. Through the chairman to Member Webster. There is some urgency around this matter from a timing perspective. Should the committee see fit to approve the severance and the variance this evening, we would ask your indulgence in seeking notification of the decision as quickly as is possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the members? Go ahead, Member Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to staff, I guess I'm looking for some clarification with regards to, with regards to the suggestion that here we go, a restrictive covenant proposed to be registered in title of the town. Is that similar to a hold symbol on these lands?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, in this sense, it's essentially to prevent any dealings on those subject lands until such time as that frontage is provided. It's really a temporary measure to be implemented, and the idea is that once that road is constructed, dedicated to the municipality, that is legal public frontage. So the holding, or excuse me, the restrictive covenant will act as a preventative measure or hold to prevent anything occurring on those lands. And the exact wording of that restrictive covenant will be clarified and to the satisfaction of our township solicitor. So the condition as worded provides a little flexibility to the solicitor in establishing the wording of that restrictive covenant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then just further, so once there is frontage, then a draft plan of subdivision for this parcel would be submitted?
Perhaps I could respond to that, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
The intention, yes, the intention is to have this parcel available to then be subject to an application for a plan of subdivision and be processed in accordance with the secondary plan. The lands are adjacent to the obviously the lands immediately to the north, which is under development presently. And it also sits adjacent to the next phase of development. So it is rather a connector piece for the development in this area of the secondary plan. So the timing would be quite appropriate with this severance in hand to then come forward in the near future with the subdivision application.
Great, thank you.
Any further questions? None. I have one for the planner, Ms. Shindrook, and also for the township planner. I noted that there has been no comments from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, and just to confirm, the severed land delineation, was that established through the Conservation Authority where it is actually located?
Mr. Corey can comment further on this, but there was mapping done in the field, and the line that has been shown for the purposes of establishing the severance line is the most conservative of the matters that have been mapped in the field. Perhaps Mr. Corey could elaborate on that.
Mr. Corey?
Mr. Corey, you are able to speak now. You are unmuted. Are you able to hear us?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Apologies. I think that was my headset. Yes, Mr. Chair, the environmental limit that is shown on the severance line is the limit of the environmental features themselves on the east side of the property, obviously on the severed portion. so it forms the limit of any actual features that would be appropriate for determining the limit for a property boundary. When the subdivision comes forward on the severed lands, they will refine and add to that limit in terms of environmental buffer and other protections. But the line has been set to make sure that we're not bisecting and, of course, respecting every feature on that side of the severance line. So in that sense, when we've spoken, both when we considered it and when we spoke with the town planners, it's an appropriate delimitation for where the property boundary should be.
Mr. Chairman, I would add to that, that at the time of subdivision, there will be further consideration by the Conservation Authority in terms of establishing the appropriate setbacks and whatever buffer would be required along that area, depending on the development that is proposed.
So as plan of subdivision, that line could further be adjusted either east or west based upon additional studies and top of bank walks with regards to the Conservation Authority?
The development limit would be confirmed, yes. So this would be the outset, this would be the property limit, but the development limit would be inside that line.
It would be further east, Mr. Chair, yes.
Further east?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. To Planner Russell, in that regard, then, the ownership of those lands in the future, when they are, if this severance line gets moved to the east, does that now become the ownership of the township for conveyance of drainage and also natural features? Or will that remain in the hands of the individual lot owners in the plan of subdivision?
Until such time as a plan of subdivision comes forward, those lands would be in private ownership, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, but once it does become plan of subdivision, I'm looking a little bit ahead of the process here, so just wanted to get an understanding in that regard.
To be honest, I'm not sure what would happen as part of an individual application for subdivision on these lands. I don't think I would want to comment on who's going to get what piece at this point, whether the CA wants to add further lands or whatnot. But the only piece I would add to this application is the NVCA was circulated as part of this application, and we did not receive any comments. Normally speaking, if say even the NVCA doesn't have time to provide formal and fulsome comments, we usually get a sort of a back channel nod kind of thing that comments are coming. I did not receive any correspondence from the CA on this file, so I would assume that they have reviewed it and are satisfied.
Thank you, Planner Russell. You've confirmed that the Conservation Authority was consulted. Thank you. And I have two more members that wish to speak. Go ahead, Member Vanderwielen.
Just the question is, so all this water, where is it going as regards to downstream? Like, where is it connecting into the other source of water?
Mr. Chairman, through you to Member Vanderwielen, the drainage on the development block at such time as it undergoes development would drain into a stormwater management facility on the development lands, either to the north on the parcel that is currently under development or to a future facility on the lands to the east.
Okay, but so when that stormwater gets full, where does that water go to then?
Oh, I would imagine that it would be outletted. Certainly the pond to the north would be outletted in a controlled manner subject to approval by the Conservation Authority and the Ministry of the Environment into the valley lands. But as I'm not an engineer and we're not developing these lands right now, the drainage will continue to function on the lands as it's functioning, as it has been functioning in a non-developed state.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, it is going to get developed. It is going to be asphalt and roofs. So that's not what it was before that. So the drainage is definitely going to change. But anyways, I was just wondering is where is this water connecting in? Is it connecting into another water stream obviously further east or north. And that's my question. Like,
there's a stormwater management system that is being constructed as we speak in this area, all subject to review and approval by the appropriate authorities, and managed. It's managed from a quality and a quantity point of view and outletted in an approved location.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I can just add, when the drainage plans were done for this neighborhood, for the Midhurst secondary plan, and when the overall drainage was considered, these lands were determined appropriate to drain to the storm ponds on the mixed property to the north and to the other property to the east, where those storm ponds are being constructed and are anticipated. That wasn't deemed to need a storm management pond on this property, because this property would outlet through those development lands to those other ponds on other lands, which is a typical arrangement when there's multiple properties developing. There's a comprehensive plan that looks at that. And certainly that was part of the consideration in the draft plan approvals that were issued to those surrounding lands, that they would have to take that drainage and manage it.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. Mr. Van Reelen, are you okay with your question or your answer?
yeah, I guess so. I mean, so still didn't give me, I don't think, an answer as to where is the water, like what water course is this water going into? Is it i.e. the Willow Creek, or is it into some other drainage system? And so I was just wondering to know if, obviously you people know, and I was just wondering, like, I don't know that. So that's my question.
Sure, I apologize for the lack of clarity there, Mr. Chair. Member Van Wielen, it's going into this same creek. It's just in a different location. It's further north of here where the stormwater management pond is located, and the outlet is into that creek at that location, because the grading of the land all drains that way, essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Member Kennedy, you had another question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just through you back to township staff with regards to the NVCA lack of response. I just would like some clarification on that. I know in my own professional life, right now the NVCA is severely understaffed. They've had a number of engineering staff members leave. I do not believe they've filled those positions. I do know that their response time on applications for other municipalities in Simcoe County in their jurisdiction are very delayed. So I just would like clarification with regards to whether or not they gave you a thumbs up that they had received the circulation and they didn't have any comments, or there was just no response.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I've received no response from the NVCA.
Okay, thank you.
However, if I can add to that, there are legislative timeframes that the NVCA and other agencies are required to respond by. So generally speaking, as I mentioned before, when they may have an issue with that, we usually hear about that, and I haven't heard anything on this one. So,
Mr. Chairman, may I add that the NVCA was involved in the secondary plan process and the designating of these lands for development. They also were very engaged in the preparation and approval of the master drainage plan for the Midhurst secondary plan area, including this area. And they will be involved in any future subdivision application on these lands.
Thank you, Ms. Schindler. Just to confirm too, the setback from the I guess the severed line, the setback was based on a 30-meter setback from the center line of the water course, which is a guideline from the Conservation Authority. Can you confirm that?
Mr. Corey?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chair. That is the standard for the delimitation of any of these types of features. So that was the line that was used. what it essentially affords is absolute protection and a line that's set on the limit of the feature itself. Any additional buffering would always be determined through the subdivision process that would follow, and is allowed then to be appropriately identified and protected beyond that.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. Planner Russell, just to confirm for other members, the plan of subdivision development, when it does move forward, there will be full consultation with the Conservation Authority and Top of Bank walks, along with planning staff and the township's engineer, to ensure that the water course, the valley area is protected, as well as drainage is being addressed through the plan of subdivision agreement and development conditions, correct?
That's correct. We would be looking for the full list of reports for any new application for subdivision on these lands. So absolutely, natural heritage would be one of those. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no further questions or comments, I'll move to the Secretary Treasurer Sophie to move forward with a motion. Okay, Sophie, if we could.
Yeah, sorry, it'll just be a moment. Before you start, Sophie, I note that Member Gannon, I see him on my screen. Is he able to participate if he had any comments?
Thank you, Chair. I was listening and I now can participate, and I have no questions or comments at this time.
Thank you, Member Gannon. If you can move forward now, then Sophie, please.
Yes. Okay, so there'll be two separate motions. So I'll start with the motion for B0821. Okay, so that the Committee of Adjustment, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 53 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of the subject land and its surroundings as addressed in the planning report on the subject application dated May 26, 2021, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearing held on May 26, 2021, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve of the application as applied for, subject to the following conditions. And there are 5. So number 1, that the applicant meet all requirements, financial or otherwise, of the municipality, including posting of securities. 2, that the applicant provide 2 copies of the registered survey of the severed lot prepared by an Ontario land surveyor. 3, that the owner applicant satisfy and be responsible for all costs to satisfy Section 65 of the Drainage Act, 1990, if applicable. Number 4, that minor variance application A1621 be approved to recognize a deficient retained lot area. And number 5, that the applicant establish a restrictive covenant over the severed lot to ensure no dealings may occur until such time as appropriate road frontage and access are provided to the satisfaction of the township solicitor.
Thank you, Sophie. Do I have any movers and seconders from the members with regards to this motion? Member Gannon moves it, and second by Member Kennedy. We have a vote from the members with regards to approval of this motion. It's unanimous. It's approved. Thank you. If we can move on to the next motion then, please, Sophie.
Great. Member Cooney, can I just confirm that it was moved by Member Gannon?
Yes, it was.
Perfect, thank you. Oops. Sorry, it'll just be a moment.
Yeah, I know you're trying to keep minutes as well as.
Okay, so I have a motion for A1621. That the Committee of Adjustment, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of the land in question and its surroundings as addressed in the planning report on the application dated May 26, 2021, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearing held on May 26, 2021, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve application A1621 as applied for.
Thank you, Sophie. Can I have a mover and a seconder from the members? Mover Webster, member Webster moves, and the seconder, member Vanderwielen. Can I have a vote from all members? It's unanimous. It's approved. Mr. Corey and Mr. Schindrick, thank you for your time and answering the questions.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the committee for persevering in light of the technical challenges. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. We're on to item 4.6. Sophie, please.
Thank you. Item 4.6 on the agenda is a consent application, B1121, by K. Fitch on behalf of the owner of land known municipally as 2388 McDonald Road. The purpose of the application is to obtain approval of a boundary adjustment consent to convey a parcel of vacant land measuring approximately 150 feet by 468 feet, representing an area of approximately 6,521.79 square meters, which is 1.61 acres, to the abutting parcel municipally known as 2352 McDonald Road. The application proposes to retain approximately 3.12 hectares, which is 7.7 acres of lot area.
Thank you, Sophie. Do we have any comments or concerns from any staff or agencies with regards to the application?
Yes, comments were received from the Township Drainage Superintendent stating that the property is in very close proximity to the Highway 93 drainage works, but is not assessed into it. Therefore, no condition to satisfy the Drainage Act would be required. And further, the Ministry of Transportation, the Township Public Works Department, Hydro One, and the Township Building Department stated no concerns or objections.
Thank you. To the moderator, do we have any adjacent neighbors or other concerns from the area with regards to this application?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Can we have the applicant now speak with regards to your intention of the application and explain a little bit more for the members to understand, please?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, my name's Kevin Andrew Fitch. I go by the name Andrew. Thanks for taking the time to consider our application. I am the owner of 2352 McDonald Road, the applicant. So we're just looking to purchase the 1.6 acres additionally behind our current property for additional outdoor space for our children and dogs to play. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. There'll be no additional frontage to our current property. It just goes straight back onto the current 2388 neighboring property.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do I have any comments or concerns from members? No concerns or comments? Go ahead, Sophie.
Sorry, can we just have the moderator confirm if any if we have any registered commenters?
Okay. He did, but we'll have him do it again.
Thank you. Thank you, Sophie, but I can confirm there were no registered commenters on this application.
Sorry, thank you.
No worries, no worries. Okay, we had no concerns or comments from the members. Sophie, if you could please, when you have a moment, please read the proposed motion.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a motion for B1121 that the Committee of Adjustment, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 53 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of the subject land and its surroundings as addressed in the planning report on the subject application dated May 26, 2021, the correspondence received, the information presented at information presented at the hearing held on May 26, 2021, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve of the application as applied for, subject to the following conditions. And there are 4. 1, that the applicant satisfy all of the requirements, financial or otherwise, of the municipality. Number 2, that the applicant provide 2 copies of the registered survey of the severed lot prepared by an Ontario land surveyor. 3, that the owner applicant satisfy and be responsible for all costs to satisfy Section 65 of the Drainage Act 1990, if applicable. And 4, that the conveyed lands be merged with the benefiting lands, known municipally as 2352 McDonald Road.
Thank you, Sophie. Do I have a mover and a seconder from the members? Member Kennedy, Member Van der Wielen seconds. And do we have all in favor for this one? Yes, all in favor, unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Fitch and Mrs. Fitch. It's been approved.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Moving on to item 5.1. We could move forward with that, Sophie, please.
Yes, so item 5.1 is the amended notice of hearing, LPAT case number PL 200654 for 5 Glen Echo Drive.
Okay, and this is an amended notice. You're looking for committee to receive it and accept it?
Yes.
That's the proposal. And is there a motion for that?
Yes, so the motion is that item 5.1 be received as correspondence.
Okay. Do we have any concerns or comments from any of the members? No? So we can move forward with a mover and a seconder with regards to this motion. Member Webster, Member Gannon. Member Webster is the mover, seconder is Member Gannon. All in favor of the motion? Unanimous. Okay. Moving on to item 5.2. The Committee of Adjustment comments, official plan review process. You could move with that one, Sophie, please.
Yes, so item 5.2 on the agenda is the Committee of Adjustment comments for the official plan review process. And did you want me to read the motion first or have a discussion first?
Let's read the motion first, and then if the members want to have any input with regards to it, then we can have our discussion, if that's okay with the members. Okay.
Okay, so the motion is that the Committee of Adjustment comments be accepted as amended and submitted to WSP for consideration as part of the Township of Springwater official plan review process.
Okay, any discussion from members? Member Webster, go ahead.
I'm going to unmute myself.
You're good.
Okay. Recently, well, not recent, but aware that Bayfield Street is being reconstructed. Not sure, I haven't seen a plan. I'm not sure whether there'll be a light at Curry Drive. But I don't know that the traffic, I'm not sure how the traffic is going to be driven through that whole area with the 5th lane added. I don't know if we want to comment on that, or I know that there's a comment here about the Bayfield Street corridor study. Anybody think that that's an issue, or that it could be mentioned in a more wholesome way, or that we have concerns with that?
Go ahead, Member Gannon.
As I recall from our meeting that we held, that was discussed pretty thoroughly, and that was one of the reasons that we took the position that we did, was the 5th lane and the traffic study, and I believe that our recommendation was understood by the individuals who were participating in that meeting.
Thank you, Chair Gannon.
Any other members with regards to that question? I did prepare those comments, Rick, in that regard, because I understand that the right of way and is the Ministry of Transportation, and that any of that Bayfield Street corridor study would have to be, they would be reviewing it and assessing it and looking at what their plans are for future highways throughout the county area. I suspect that they've had the plans for Bayfield Street in the works for probably 12 to 15 years with the widening and in a center turn lane. That's why I was wondering if the MTO had provided any feedback with regards to that Bayfield corridor study, and there was no, I haven't had any response as of yet. Perhaps the planner or Director Spangl can comment on that, please.
Chairman Cooney, the Ministry of Transportation has provided comments with respect to the corridor study. Those comments will be included in a matrix that will be provided through the response done by WSP. Some of the comments are related to the movement of traffic, access points, the need to take a look at commercial setbacks for development, everything that you could expect to see from ministry comments with respect to trying to intensify a corridor that is under their jurisdiction. Ultimately, just to respond to the comment about streetlights at Glen Echo and Curry Drive, the comments I think thoroughly go over what needs to be considered for any future development to move forward in the form of a traffic assessment to take a look at the movement of traffic along the corridor. That will definitely be something that will have to be worked into the policies of the new official plan. So I can appreciate the comments from committee members regarding traffic and how movement of traffic will be dealt with along the corridor. There's still lots of work that would need to be done and that would need to be identified through official plan policy.
Member Webster, you're okay with the response?
Yes, for you, Chair Cooney, thank you, Director Spangl.
Member Vanderweilen?
Yeah, just wanting to comment on, like, you're asking us to sign after on these proposals, is that right?
Yes, we're at.
Go ahead, Sophie.
Go ahead, Sophie.
Yes, through you, Chair, to Member Vanderweilen. We are asking you to just review the comments and approve them to submit them to WSP as part of the committee comments.
Okay, and so I mean, I get it as being comments, but I mean, like some of these are personal opinions. Like, I mean, and I understand that Lauren, that you, Member Cooney, that you had written a lot of these, but I'm not, as I had sent a letter to Director Spangl and to Chairman Gannon, is that I'm not educated enough to know, to give an educated opinion on these, all these proposals. I mean, there was the engineers, both the township and the people who did the study have spent time and done their assessment. So for me to say that this is right or wrong, I mean, I can give an opinion, but it's not an educated opinion. So so I don't want, like, I can't sign to it that this has got to be done this way or it doesn't happen. Like, I mean, to me, it's fine that we give our opinion, but it's an opinion, and that's as far as it goes. So that's it.
Go ahead, Director Spangl.
Thank you, Deputy Chair Cooney. I think the only thing I'd like to reiterate is that really the purpose of the comments are to really obtain, comments from the committee. Not all comments need to be coming from professionals in every discipline. It's a matter of whether or not, as a committee, these are issues that the committee feels as a whole need to be addressed. They do not have to be coming from professional engineers. They don't have to be coming from lawyers or professional planners. They're really consideration for the official plan review process to deal with some of the things that the committee feels the municipality should look at in more detail. Now, that said, it's always nice to have, unanimous agreement on comments that come in from committees, but that doesn't always happen. So, to Member Vanderwalen, I mean, if there's things in the comments that you don't necessarily agree with, you don't have to necessarily vote in favor of accepting these as formal comments of the committee. That's perfectly within your right as a committee member. But I think it needs to be clearly understood that these are comments that, as a committee, if the committee feels like these comments need to be addressed and responded to, then it's definitely within the committee's purview to vote in that favor. And each committee has the right to either vote for the comments or against them.
Thank you, Director Spagnuolo. Any other members? No other members with comments, or go ahead, Patty.
Sorry, guys. So I'm having technical difficulties tonight as well, and my screen just locked up. So I only heard part of Director Spagnuolo's comments to Member Vanderwelden. I'm not sure what the ending part was. Sorry.
If you wouldn't mind, Director Spagnuolo, just kind of brief comment in that regard.
Thank you, Deputy Chair Cooney. Me being a planner, that's going to be tough. But anyway, we'll give it a whirl. Essentially, it's up to the committee to determine how the committee would like to vote on the comments. In order for these comments to be included as part of the formal process, a unanimous vote with all committee members in agreement is not required. It's a matter of getting the majority vote of the committee, and I just indicated that it's perfectly within each committee member's right to either not vote in favor of the comments or vote in favor of the comments.
Thank you, Director Spagnuolo. Did you capture that, Member Kennedy? Okay. Member Vanderwelen?
Yeah, and I just want to clarify is that I'm not necessarily disagreeing with any of the comment, but I can say, under the population, you say, I do not concur with the high vacancy rate of 17%. I don't know if that is right or wrong. I mean, it's, so it's not, I can't, I don't know that. And that's your personal opinion. Whether it's right or it's wrong, I don't know. And so I can't, I don't want to be held to a gun to it after I say, yes, this is that, and it ends up, no, it's not, because I don't know it. So I'm not, it's not that I'm disagreeing with any of them, but when I give an opinion, I hope I have an educated opinion. And so, and I can't, honestly, I can't say I can do that on this. So.
Okay, thank you, Member Vanderwelen. Again, the percentages, and I was quoting from the documents provided by the planners that did the documents, only providing, again, comments for them to justify where they came from. That's all I was asking. Member Webster, you wish to speak?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Member Cooney. I was thinking the same thing, that the first thing that would happen when we submit these comments, that they would verify or check to make sure that they haven't made a statement that isn't correct. So really what we're saying is we're questioning that this needs to be checked. So we're not agreeing or disagreeing. We're making a statement that we don't agree. So check it, and they will check it. And that's part of the input that we're giving them is saying, please check this because it doesn't sound right. That's all I think anyway.
Yep, I agree with that.
Thank you, Member Webster, for explaining it so eloquently, better than me. Any other members with comments in that regard? Okay, then, Sophie read the motion. Do you want to hear it again? Or do you want to move forward with a mover in a second? You want to hear it again?
Oh.
No, okay, a mover and a mover. Okay, Member Kennedy and Member Webster. So it was moved by Member Kennedy, second by Member Webster. All in favor? All in favor with the all four. Thank you, members. So does that leave us with item 5.2, or is that, I've lost my paperwork here.
Yeah, so we're now at other business.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other business from the members? Member Vanderweilen, go ahead.
So I just question is what is the reason for the poor audio tonight? Like there's somebody, like there was a big part of Member Kennedy's on 4.5 that I didn't hear, and then I didn't hear the response. So I just wondered, like, what is the reason for the poor audio tonight? Do we know, or?
Go ahead, Director Spangel.
Thank you, Deputy Chair Cooney. I understand from a few staff members, there's been some poor internet connections even being experienced by staff as well. I don't know if this is an overriding issue with respect to bandwidth and the speed of the internet. And I see Moderator Munich is on the line as well to also provide some additional input. But I know that there has been some poor internet connections going around among the planners and whatnot, where prior to the meeting, we weren't certain that the meeting was going to run smoothly in that respect. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
If I may, Mr. Chair, just
Go
simply
ahead.
add, thank you, Director Spagnol. That was the example I was going to provide as well. There's been some issue with internet connectivity across the board this evening, but thank you all for hanging in there and proceeding accordingly.
Member Kennedy, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to add that. Thanks, guys, especially Sophie. I actually couldn't even log on to the computer that the township had provided me for these meetings. I had to borrow one of my sons in order to get on, and I have been having difficulty throughout the meeting tonight. So first time, technical glitches, but thank you, Sophie. You did a great job.
Yes, thank you to Sophie and Moderator Munich in that regard. We managed to stick handle through all of this and nobody got hurt so far.
Game to you, Deputy Chair.
Yeah, way to pick up the ball and run with it, Lauren.
Yeah, I couldn't run fast enough. And I'm going to put the director on the hot seat again one more time. In the minutes, one of the comments was with regards to the comments being prepared for in the staff reports, and specifically the recommendations. Wondering if you could address that one more time, whether that will change or it will remain as it is.
Thank you, Deputy Chair Cooney. Staff took a look across the board at how various municipalities, and across the board, I'm saying across the county of Simcoe, deal with consent applications and minor variances. And what essentially that review resulted in was that essentially all reports coming from planning departments provide recommendations, as opposed to inherently having the comments of the planning department in the report. There's a few reasons for this. The one reason is that from a clarity standpoint, the term recommendation is needed so that it's very clear as to what the planners reviewing the file, it's clear as to how they see the report as it relates to the policies that are in place. The other part of it is that as far as the planning field goes, the planners are considered to be professionals in their fields. And the provision of a recommendation to a certain extent, and actually not to a certain extent, is really similar or actually the same. And I know the engineers won't like this, but as an engineer providing a recommendation on a standard, there's a series of tests, there's a series of things that have to be looked at. And mind you, there's a lot of gray, but it is the application of planning policy, and it's really part of the planning field, and it's part of being a professional planner to be able to arrive at a recommendation. And those would be the two major aspects why, from staff standpoint, the term recommendation, we plan on continue having that in the reports. The other thing is that from my standpoint, I definitely don't want to be faulted for sitting on the fence in an application if it's unclear as to when you've got conflicting policies that sometimes have to be balanced out. And it's in those instances where a lot of times the committee members they can go with staff recommendation to formulate their position on something, because it's a piece of information that they can utilize to form their position. They don't have to necessarily follow, staff's recommendation. However, those recommendations should be considered because it's staff doing their best to interpret the policies. And I think, from the report standpoint, just to be clear with respect to staff's position on things, we'll be leaving the term recommendation in the reports.
Thank you, Director Spagnol. Any comments, feedback from members? No? Okay, then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda then, Sophie, please.
Okay. So the next item is item 7, which is the adjournment. That this Committee of Adjustment meeting held on May 26, 2021 does now adjourn at 8:49.
Yep, 8:49.
p.m.
Moved by Member Kennedy. Second by Member Gannon. And thank you for coming, Member Gannon. All in favor? Passed, approved by all. You got that, Sophie?
Yes.